Firstly, I'd like to thank everybody for accepting the invite to the webinar. We can try and do something a little bit different. So with Neil, going to do a bit of a whiteboard for everybody, so it's a little bit more interactive than generally what a webinar is. But generally, what we're going to do is just going to go through. So Neil Briscoe is the CTO from Cloud Gateway, and myself, Mark Johnson, head of digital connectivity at ANS. Been at ANS now for 7 years, responsible for the strategy for connectivity and everything cloud and WAN, SD-WAN, etc., etc. So what we just want to do today is introduce our partnership with Cloud Gateway, why we've done it, and then go into a nice whiteboard session with Neil to illustrate the proposition, what it looks, what the benefits are, and with some of the accreditations that the platform gives us as well. So the agenda. So welcome and introductions. Obviously, we've just done that. We'll go quickly on to who Cloud Gateway are, where they've come from. Very young business, but they've come a long way in a short time. Why ANS and Cloud Gateway have partnered, a little bit about what we do as a business and why Cloud Gateway was a great fit for us. There's a high-level architecture slide, but I think we just probably go straight into the whiteboard session and walk through the architecture with Neil. A bit of Q&A at the end, and then a bit of a call to action at the end of the actual webinar. So I'll just put all these up for Neil. Neil can then come on to introduce himself and take you through who are Cloud Gateway.
Lovely job. Cheers, Mark. Thanks very much. Thanks everyone for attending. Just a little bit about who Cloud Gateway are and where we've come from. So Cloud Gateway, I'm one of the co-founders. The other co-founder, Justin Day. We've worked each other for the last sort of 15 years or so on both sides of the fence. I'm primarily enterprise networking, consultancy and architecture, and Justin worked for Vodafone at the time on the other side of the fence. So a few years ago we got together and we wanted to come up with something that was a little bit different, and we came up with a list of all the things that he hated about my side of the fence and my behaviours and my requirements as a customer and consumer. And then I brought up my list of all the things I hate about telcos and their behaviours and their agility. And effectively off the back of that, we started to draw a few things out on the kitchen table, a flat in Chiswick, and then it started a network platform as a service that was agile, which at the time networking wasn't, had a security wrapper, and that was completely agnostic to the transit underlay. And we want to be able to the right tools for the right job. I want to be able to do things easier because I was always frustrated with their side of the fence as telcos and connectivity partners, and Justin was frustrated with my side about me want to change my ideas and what the enterprises wanted to do. So 3 years ago we built a platform and we knew we were onto something. Got our first sort of customers in central government. So we secure all the prisons in the UK. That was our very first customer, which was a baptism of fire. But we then realized the platform could then spread its wings, and the number of use cases that you can build using our platform is just unreal. That makes it agile and modern. One of the main things that we wanted to take away is we wanted to do the agile network piece, the security piece, but more importantly, do it the opposite end of a traditional networking connectivity partners in cloud consumption model. So we want to be able to right size and spin up and spin down and increase bandwidth and change services mid-term with everything co-terminating, and you've got the flexibility within there. So we've gone through a lot of accreditations because we do a lot of stuff for central government. So very early on, we realized that, yes, we had a fantastic platform, fantastic technology, but as a company, we had to get things right. So very early on, corporate governance and structure. And we got the platform PSN accredited, so Public Services Network accredited. So it means that we could actually use our platform, connect things to the internet that was sensitive. And it meant that from a governance perspective, our platform is safe, secure, all the processes and people around that are of standard to do up to official sensitive for government. And then from that, it's just ballooned into, we then moved into HSCN, the Health and Social Care Network for the NHS. So it's taken from an idea of the things we hear on both sides of the fence and built a platform, massively resonated, and we're a bit of a thorn in the side for a lot of traditional telcos. But we wanted to partner with ANS because they've got the cloud expertise the professional services, the consultancy arm that we don't want to do. We just want to build a platform and the product, and it was pretty much a decent quality Venn diagram of overlap of a perfect partnership. So that's where Cloud Gateway go along. In a few slides' time, I'll actually start drawing out the components of the platform, the capabilities, and then go through a few use cases. And then I'm sure you can just imagine in your head how you could potentially use it within your environment, or at least see some of the benefits of this new way of doing multi-cloud and hybrid cloud connectivity. So that's Cloud Gateway, where it's come from. And back over to you, Mark.
Got the dog barking here, but yeah, okay. Thanks, Neil. So why for us did we decide to choose Cloud Gateway? All the things that Neil's mentioned there is certainly a factor. And we've got about 8 points there, which is what I'll go through, which to me is because the way we do as a business, we're a CSP, we do a lot of digital, a lot of cloud stuff. We've got a lot of customers on the call today that, we do a lot of great stuff. And what we found is when enabling customers to consume cloud and digital services, it's the thing that's probably least thought of is connectivity. Yet it's probably the most disabling factor of getting people consuming services within the cloud. So we wanted something that could give us the agnostic feel from a connectivity, a vendor and a technology perspective. So we can connect pretty much anything physically, we can secure it, and then we can obviously connect anything logically, which is obviously a great thing for ANS. So spinning this stuff up with the agility that we see in the platform, and because this is 100% cloud, it's a PaaS platform, all the underlying architecture has been built, and all we need to do is layer on the solution on top of it. So we, as with any cloud solution, things about be able to spin this stuff up really very quickly. We can use, I think the next point here, it's definitely, with it being PaaS, services, features, and all that become available in the platform. They're pretty much available straight away. And that's what we find with cloud and digital. We want exactly the same for connectivity. And this platform gives us that. So obviously with it be evolving and putting the features in, we can adopt this stuff. So if you go against the traditional providers where you may have an iOS upgrade every 6 months, you can't really start to recognize anything from that upgrade for every 6 months, where this is definitely agile, DevOps, NetOps. We can start to spin up new features, pretty much, 20 to 30 changes can be done quite consistently, and we can start to adopt them and use them straight away in a cloud fashion. And of course, we start to recognize this as connectivity trends change, and we start looking at AI and things like that. This stuff can be start to realize in the platform itself. So with it being PaaS, obviously auto scaling, as Neil rightly said before, we can auto scale. As big as the solution needs to get, we can pretty much size and build auto scale into the platform. So it can continue to grow to absorb as many customers as we see fit on the platform. Elasticity and automation are also a massive part of cloud. And obviously we want to be able to spin this stuff up because obviously we've got APIs that we can start to consume and start to deploy these services using automation tooling. Also, our customers are demanding, telemetry, in-depth telemetry, which obviously this platform has been built from security. So the insights into this particular platform, having that available to us in a format that can be customized to the customer's environment. So as far as we're concerned, we can customize that format to your Steam platform. You can view it in a portal within the platform itself. You can consume an API, and we can deliver that telemetry as well straight into the platform, into a Steam platform, into a managed service, into maybe a third-party provider of a SOC, can all consume this telemetry. And it's very, very in depth. It's got a lot of it go through the platform. Obviously, compliancy. I think for a lot of our customers, compliance is probably the number one thing that probably prevents people going to the cloud. But we have a lot of ISO accreditations ourselves, and the first thing we spot with Cloud Gateway is that they also ISO 27001 needed to have that as a minimum. But the other accreditations like the NCSC, so National Cyber Security Centre Compliancy, and PSN, which include the HSCN as well, is massive. So having that, and also being sat involved in a lot of the panels for general government as well as local government is around internet first. So we've heard banded around the cloud first policy from government, but also now internet first as it's it's wider reaching than general MPLS. So we can start to consume these services from different places, and not necessarily people, it can also be things. So being able to have that with the right compliance and regulation is also really important. And these guys are award winning. 2018, 2019, most innovative product available in connectivity, we recognized all over the place, which to us, again, we have a lot of awards ourselves. So very similar from an ethos and from a culture perspective as ANS. So the fit was perfect for us. So moving on now. So I think you're gonna have to request control, Neil. So Neil will do this his whiteboard. So hopefully I can hand that across to Neil.
Ooh, you're gonna have to give me a clue how to do this. How do I request control?
I think there's the 3 dots, and then you can request it there. You can stop presenting. Oh,
can everybody
see that?
It'll come back in a second. Bear with me a second. And we'll go through the yellow, then we go through the other one, then we go through that one. You get to see me, then you get to see my Tony Hart impression. Can everybody see that? Mark, I'm going to have to just rely on you for if there's any questions.
I can see it.
We'll put in there. Cool, lovely. Right, actually, because of the frequency of the lights, just bear with me a second. That's better. If everyone can.
Yeah, that's good, Neil.
I'm going to be facing away, so if there's any questions, Mark, just interject, or if anyone can interject, I'll stop and try and answer them. So what I'll do is, as we started out and saying, right, there we go. Can you now hear me? Are we all right, Mark?
Yeah, all good, mate. Yeah, we can hear you.
Good job. Right, so what I'll do is I'll draw the components of the platform, and as we said, the fabric is, it started out and it still is a hybrid cloud and multi-cloud connectivity and security platform. So what I'll do is I'll break the platform down into sort of the 3 major components, and then I can run through a few use cases. So the Cloud Gateway platform is made up of 3 components. There's the Enterprise Connect component, which is how we onboard customers and how we connect to enterprises, whether it be the users, consumers, or the actual enterprise itself. Then in the center, we've got our security enforcement core, which is all of the security that we're going to need. We'll go into further detail. And then at the top end, we've got our Cloud Connect module. And this is our Cloud Connect fabric, which means we've got on-net connectivity to, I think, 2,000 endpoints around the world that we can on-net connect to. So let's take the Enterprise Connect section, how we onboard a customer. Physically, we've got some physical tin, as it would be in as hybrid connectivity, but there's no intelligence in there. It's just a physical way to cross-connect into our fabric. So we are in 4 UK data centers that we can just do a simple cross connect into. We're in Equinix LD8 in Docklands, which was the old Hex 6, 7, 8, and 9 down in sort of Docklands area. We're in MA3 in Manchester, which is an Equinix data center, which is known as Dual House previously. And we're also, for central government, we're in Arc Farnborough and Arc Corsham. They're mainly for UK government, so Cody Park and Spring Park. So if you're on any of these campuses, it's very easy. It literally is throw a cable across the hall and you can consume our services. An alternative is if you're a customer or you are an MPLS provider, a network provider, and you're in any of these carrier neutral data centers, that's why we strategically took these data centers, because most carriers are in there. Effectively, again, we do a data center cross connect, but we do an NNI between the provider's MPLS, or if your customer's on BT or Vodafone or ANS is MPLS, we can do a direct cross connect into there. And it means that we can use the same link and provision lots and lots of customers on there, but using the same cross connect. It's more from a partner perspective to do that. And all we do is we just end up as another data center on that customer's MPLS to consume services. Commonly, we can also use the internet as transit. Now, we're not an SD-WAN provider. ANS can provide you all that. However, what we can do is basically sweat your existing asset. If you've got an internet connection already of any type, be 4G, broadband, DIA, whatever you want, away we go. You've got an existing router or appliance, we can connect you to your fabric. So it's worth knowing that each customer on our platform has its own tenancy that's logically separated from each other. And from an accreditation, and to keep your mind at rest, is that this is what we had to go through the PSN accreditation for, because we're running several government departments, and we had to go through all the compliance to ensure that all of our processing segregation is done up to official sensitive, and we're okay for that. And effectively what we do, we generate a configuration, you cut and paste that onto your router, and effectively what it does is it comes back across the internet and connects to your tenancy. Under the hood, it's using open standards, but we are NCSC compliant, NCSC Foundation profile, which means that we can. It's safe to transmit across the internet using the ciphers and the way that we're doing the cryptography across the internet up to official sensitive. And it's worth knowing that this is how we connect the prisons in the UK, using the internet as backbone, securely using our VPN back to their tenancy. The benefit of this is completely agnostic of how we connect to you. We can do things very quickly in a tactical measure, or strategic if it's difficult to dig up roads, which we don't recommend. And you can mix and match. We don't really care if you've got 20 customers that are coming in over the internet. You may be a retailer that needs pop-up shops. We can very quickly connect back to your tenancy, or whether you're in those data centers or you're doing a digital transformation where you've got an existing incumbent MPLS and you want to migrate to the platform and just use internet as backbone. We don't care. You can connect in and move things around at the bottom end as you see fit. So the Enterprise Connect module, how we onboard customers completely agnostically, not bothered which way around we do it. The next layer is the security enforcement core, probably the most important thing. And this is all of the cloud intelligence. This is where the intelligence is. So in the security enforcement core, we have full firewall as a service, unified threat management as a service. We've got antivirus, anti-malware, DNS inspection. We've got full WAF capabilities. We can do TLS intercept and deep packet inspection. We've got application control. What else have we got? URL filtering. So effectively, we see all the traffic and we can do all the deep packet inspection that gets inside the payload, which is really important. On the side of this, for those people that want to do centralized internet egress, which is a valid pattern, we've got secure web gateway features. So effectively, that pen's running out, is say if you on the internet, you're doing this way and you've got 20 sites, you've also got 20 firewalls and you've got 25 proxies and various other things. You can centrally egress to the internet to make sure that all your users are coming through here. And you can do your full URL filtering based on categories, blacklists or whitelists, and full DNS inspection. And we can do inside the payload to make sure that it's compliant with anything to and from the internet, is compliant with your security posture and security policies internally. At the same time, it's doing DNS inspection and anti-malware and antivirus as it's coming in and out. So effectively, you've got a much smaller internet surface exposure for your day-to-day standard business to the internet services. Importantly, as Mark alluded to on the side, one of the three pillars of our platform, so we've got the connect part, the protect part, and the inspect part. The inspect part is here. Because we sit in the middle, we get to see a lot of traffic from all different directions with all these different services. Everything that goes through the platform goes to our log aggregation platform. So these are logs, events, telemetry, and what it does is we correlate this because the data is massively important to us to see what is going on. And within that log aggregation platform, it drives out a nice pretty portal that will give you lots of graphs and visualizations that say top 10 users or top 10 protocols that are seen on the network, or has this site down here used more bandwidth than anybody else. But what it also does is gives you that extra value added that it's your data, If you've got an existing SIEM or SOC provider, what we can do is take this telemetry that we've learned and just give it to you as well. So if you want a single pane of glass and you want to ingest that, and you've got a third party doing that for you, because we sit central and we get to see a lot of visibility, we can just add to that and we can offload to the SIEM. Also with this, because you want to inspect and you want to see all the traffic and all the logs and telemetry, we can open up APIs so that you can actually pull data from there and run your own queries to actually get data about data and events and do some correlation. But as you see, that provides the visibility that going through the platform in any direction. So that's the security component. The Cloud Connect component is how we on net instantly provision to clouds and cloud service providers. So for example, we've got over 2,000 service endpoints around the world that we can connect to your tenancy. Typical example, say for example, you're in AWS or you've got workloads in Azure. What we can do is we can provision a direct connect or express route to you, and it takes approximately 5 minutes. One of the reasons why we did Cloud Gateway is I once ordered an express route from a carrier-neutral data center to site, and it cost multiple hundreds of thousands of pounds and took 9 months. It was just ridiculous. So we want to be able to, if a customer's on our platform, if they start to do their digital transformation, or they start to move things to cloud, or they start to develop into cloud, the importance for us to near instant connect their IaaS instances, so their VPCs or their VNets, to their tenancy very quickly. It's easy for you to consume these services. If you want to connect a VPC to your tenant, you just give us your account ID, and then you'll get an invite and you'll get a connection request for 2 diverse direct connects. You accept those, we set up BGP, and that is now connected privately, not going across the internet with SLAs on any bandwidth connecting to your tenancy. Same with Express Route, same with Google. We can connect to over 2,000 endpoints instantly. One of the benefits of us, rather than doing a straight VPN across the internet, because we've got the capability to do TLS intercept and deep packet inspection, we were one of the first people to be able to do multi-cloud segmentation. We know that multi-cloud is happening. Years ago, it was all eggs in one basket. I either choose AWS or Azure. Now things are maturing. AWS is best of breed for some stuff. Azure is best of breed for others. IBM, Google is best of breed for others. You're going to end up spreading your workloads amongst multiple clouds, and you need a single transit, single fabric, but knowing what is going on between the workloads is of utmost importance. So we can do the TLS intercept and give you extremely granular visibility and control about what traffic goes between what, and more importantly, the visibility to be able to do that. And again, agile, you do something in Azure for 3 months, you don't need it, disconnect it. Makes no odds to us. You come along with Google, you plug that in and it's on the fabric. Nothing can go from south side to north side or any combination without going through the security enforcement policy. And then obviously, because we're doing that, you see all the logs. Other things that we have on net, so you can see the power of instant provision there. We've got access and we're HSCN compliant and PSN accredited. So this means that if for those sectors, whether in central government or health, we can provide this fabric and we can provide connectivity to HSCN and PSN. With HSCN, one thing we don't do WISE only. We're not going to give you a circuit and go, best of luck, sort your security out, deal with NHS Digital with your networking, your routing and your firewalling. We take all that heavy lifting off you. You literally provision. We do some governance to ensure that you are a legitimate HSCN connector and you're connected. During COVID, we were connecting people to AWS, to HSCN and Azure to HSCN daily. The quickest that we did from nothing was 8 minutes. We got somebody with a workload in, actually it was an AWS, connecting, consuming stuff on Spine, which is an NHS system, within 8 minutes. Same with PSN, on-net connectivity. So PSN organizations use us. So if you've got an organization that's on PSN and there's a big drive to move to cloud, we were the first people to be accredited to go connect from the internet to public cloud to PSN. We were the first people to go through that and that horrible pain, but we're now there. And we can enable organizations to move off PSN because there's a drive to do that and move everything to cloud. Many, many use cases of moving data around, but ultimately you've got the connectivity on net, on ramp when you need it, with the security, the compliance, and the freedom to move everything around. So from a timescale perspective, from nothing, we can have a brand new customer provisioned in about 20 minutes, including everything ready to use. Takes another 5 minutes if you want to connect Azure, another 5 minutes for AWS. If you want to go out to the internet and use this mechanism, give us some basic policies, or we can give you a default policy to secure gun access to the internet. 5 minutes later again. The power and the agility is unreal. We've not come across, well, I've come across one use case in 3 years when we couldn't actually help out with a use case on this. Important to note, inside here, we are the custodians of your policy. We can help build a security policy for you, but if you came and said, look, Neil, I want permit any on there, we'd probably raise our eyebrows and go, do you really want this? Or we just implement what you ask for. One of the benefits of our platform and that we do our commercial model and our service model is you get inclusive changes per month. We're not a traditional telco where we're going to charge you 1,500 quid to do a firewall change and it's going to take 4 weeks of governance and to go into the system. Doesn't work like that. You get inclusive changes. So if you don't use them, you lose them. But it mainly covers so that you're making sure that the cost for the subscription, you're not any additional surcharges that you're unaware of. A couple of other features that we've got on top of this, coming from the internet side, is we've got full user RAS capability. So that if you've got 10,000 users out on your estate and you need to pull them in centrally to consume all of these services, we can do that. With our commercial model, if you've got 10,000 users out there, but there's only ever 500 concurrent at any time, you only pay for 500. Our licensing model, we don't see, even if you've got 10,000 potential users, why you should have to pay for 10,000 licenses. Scale and size and paying for what you use and what you need is all about the fabric. So we've got full user RAS capability into the platform, and we can either do the local user authentication or we can tie in with your existing Active Directory services. Other important services, which we do for some large insurance companies, is web application firewall. You may have some services dotted around your estate, maybe in all the different cloud providers, but you want to safely publish these applications to the internet securely. We're doing this right now. So there's certain insurance companies, when you go to comparethemarket.com and they go off to all the different search engines, they're actually potentially, depending on who it is, coming through us. We do 500 million requests a year, and that enables that we can protect their applications and publish things to the internet securely, safely, with the full telemetry of what is going on. We can do certificate inspection, certificate offload, deep packet inspection, API conformity, encryption end-to-end, but breaking the payload to see what is going inside. So the platform has got multiple modules that I could go on forever and ever. But for three sort of components that have got in your head, it should be Enterprise Connect, completely agnostic how you connect to the fabric, plug and play, mix and match, Security Enforcement Core in the middle, where we get to see inside the payload with all these security suites, and with the log aggregation platform to give you the full visibility of understanding what is going on with your network, and then the Cloud Connect. On-net instant connectivity privately with an SLA to all the cloud providers pretty much around the world with HSCN and PSN compliance. So that is Cloud Gateway at a very high level without any use cases. Any questions on that so far?
A quick one, Neil. Is it worth just touching on the business continuity as a service, so as though we're all really happy working from home in COVID?
Yeah. So We didn't see this coming. Nobody saw this coming. With COVID, I'll mainly base this anecdote around NHS. With COVID, people had to work from home, and people that could work from home didn't necessarily have a corporate laptop. And those companies that did provide corporate laptops with VPN ingress or Citrix ingress or ways of remote working were finding themselves completely saturated they didn't have the VPN termination from a capacity perspective. They didn't have the internet bandwidth capacity. It took everyone by surprise. So what we ended up sort of thinking about outside the box here is what we did. We created a cloud gateway stack, and what were happening, and this is what we did for the NHS. What we were doing in the cloud, so we just pick any sort of hyperscaler. I don't know. We'll go with Microsoft. They were spinning up VDI services in the cloud. Very easy to do. Again, elastic scale, pay for what you use. Start with 5 VDI sessions, go up to 20,000 sessions in a heartbeat. What we were doing is people were coming in over the internet to these VDI sessions. And then because we had connectivity to Microsoft, we were putting some very big pipes into our Cloud Gateway platform and then connecting them to HSCN and they're on net. What this was allowing is people, because it's a VDI session, were bringing up, bring your own device. And I mean, bring your own device. We were hearing horror stories of bringing out old Acer laptop with Windows 98 on it. And we're like, well, if you have full fat VPN on there, you really don't want that to happen. So what we were doing in this mechanism is, because it's a VDI session, you think of it as a long VGA cable. What it meant is that there's a true protocol break between the end user and the VDI session. And it meant you could have any old snotty horrible laptop and endpoint device that could be corporate, didn't have to be corporate, but accessing corporate desktops and applications. What it allowed for is scalability, that you can go from nothing to 2,000 connections within minutes. It also provided that security break that you knew that if anything was infected, you couldn't go in and out. But it also provided absolute governance and auditability about what was going in and out of that session. And because all internet traffic and all traffic was connected from the VDI farm to Cloud Gateway, if that VDI session needed to go to the internet, we were providing secure gateway features so that we could see what people were doing and we were locking it down. But also it enabled the NHS to continue to consume services coming in with a protocol break. Didn't matter what laptop you're using, but you could access all the stuff as if you were on net, on your site, and connecting and still being able to consume services within NHS to do their work. We're seeing a lot of this business continuity as a service going to fall out. The way that we're working now, I don't think we're going to go back to our old ways. This is one solution that came about to scale for this. Another one is very similar to user as, is that business continuity service. We can spin up a service with help with ANS, is where you basically have a big user as farm and it sits there. If you want, it can be turned off. And if we, hope we don't, have COVID 20 or 21, all we do is effectively turn that on. You're already pre-connected to your estate and we can scale up, and those 20,000 users can now connect in from the outside world, and it's not putting any additional pressure on your estate. It's not coming through your internet pipes. You don't have to provision your Citrix farm or your VPN concentrators. It sits there dormant, ready to press a button and spun up, and you're ready. So you're not caught out like we were with COVID. Now, hopefully that won't happen again, but you can see the flexibility of the platform, that you can use it as a business continuity as a service, multiple ways, either using full VPN client access or VDI sessions. Both have that, using the best of cloud, elasticity, scalability, and having the full compliance and governance, whilst knowing that your users can get back into your estate. I need a drink. So that's probably what I can say on the business continuity as a service. Any questions around that? Thoughts or particularly use cases you want to sort of walk through how it could help? Obviously, there's multiple people from different parties, so they may not want to all jump in and give each other ideas of what they're up to. But any general questions that you have at the moment? No, Mark, any hands raised? Because I can't see from this end.
I can't see. Yes, there's one from Dave Reed.
Hi there. So just a quick question from me. In terms of the Cloud Connect connectivity, is there any limitations on the bandwidth there?
No, the limitations, tell a lie, there is limitations, but we can get around them. Depending, a lot of them are based on the cloud limitations, but we can go up to 10 gig times 8. So we can keep on bonding and 10, but on a single virtual circuit that would connect into AWS or Azure, it's 10 gig for a single one. But to be perfectly honest, you probably won't put 10 gig straight into a single VPC. You probably put it into a transit gateway and bond up to 80 gig. But if you've got 80 gig connections and you need 80 gig into AWS, we're probably having very different discussions about how we'd tackle this anyway. But we can start out down at 50 meg up to 10 gig instantly. After 10 gig, we start just bonding and aggregating to have multiple gigs. Licensing wise, the way that we work commercially is there's two levers. There's one is the aggregate bandwidth throughput. So think of it as a subscription model. Do I want 50 meg throughput for the stack, or do I need 10 gig? And there's levers all the way up and sizing. And the benefit of doing it this way is I hear all the time, I need 10 gig. And believe me, you don't need 10 gig. Start small, see what you use. And you know what? Next month, if you're hitting 200 meg, click it up to the next dial and you get a 500 meg stack instantly, or where we go that way. So that's one of the levers. The other lever is the level of service and the type of services you want to consume, all the way from layer 3, layer 4 firewalling, and that's it, right up to doing the full TLS intercept with certificates, deep packet inspection, doing full span, and then firing data off to some organizations over in Cheltenham if you really want. So those are there's a feature level, east and west, and there's a bandwidth level up and down. But regarding the connectivity to the cloud, we're only constrained by what is capable within the cloud at the minute. And I think in some of these providers, I think in AWS, they're looking at doing a 40 gig single port at the minute.
Cool, thanks.
I don't think that's going to be released.
Sorry, just another one. You mentioned that you're in ARC Farnborough. Is that for soft layer or ZOS or either?
Where physically?
Yeah, are you working with IBM in ARC Farnborough?
We work with a lot of central government departments directly or through their partners. We have a physical presence, so if you're in any of the campus whatsoever, we've got an on-ramp, physical on-ramp that you can connect to down in Farnborough.
Okay, great, cheers.
Any other questions?
It's coming up to 40 minutes now, Neil,
okay.
as well, so conscious of people's time. So really, I think can I take control of that from you? So really, I suppose to finish off is the call to action. So myself and Neil will gladly do any one-to-one sessions. If you've got any particular use cases you want to go through, where reach out to us at the end. You have our contact details, or at least ANS will send the contact details out for the pair of us. Reach out and we can set up a session. I think Neil's on his 10th one this week already, so very popular. We also have a connectivity check thing where we certainly look into customers' environments now before going to cloud, or if they're in cloud, looking at how that connectivity needs to look. And we do a thing called a connectivity check, which is just a process that we use at ANS, which is looking at the efficiency, the architecture, the security and the operating model of your environment. It's free of charge. It's actually not free, because obviously it impacts us transitioning customers to cloud. So if they can't get to cloud quickly enough, then obviously connectivity is one of those factors. We basically unearth any issues that might prevent a customer going to the cloud. So obviously it'll save us a lot in time and resources to do that. So it's a preamble for that. And afterwards, just let us know what your thoughts are, what you think about the system, anything further you want to know about it, any constraints you feel that you have in your own that you may not be solved by this. We'd be happy to hear what you've got to say about the platform. If there's anything more for anybody to say, I'd just like to thank everybody for spending their time. I know everybody's extremely busy during this period, and to take the time out to speak to us today has been and watch what we're doing has been much appreciated, and I'm sure Neil's just as appreciative as I am. So if there's anything else more to say, let us know, and look forward to hopefully speaking to you in the near future. Well, that's it.
Cheers, thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Cheers, thanks.
Bye-bye.